What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Ernie Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. So today's video, we're going to be talking about Cable number 7 by Jerry Duggan and Phil Noto. And in this video, we are going to learn why the Order of X abducting children hits so close to home for young Cable. And more importantly, why he's going to need the help of an old friend to stop one of the greatest threats to his future. And we're also going to see the return of a character that many of you have asked about ever since House of X began. That's right, we're going to talk about all that and more right now, but first, let's hit that intro.
Word to wise, grass only greener when it's fertilized. Gave them truth in these songs, they prefer to lies. Destiny beautiful, adrift in her purple eyes. You can't see me, you Stevie, wondering how I reach more evolutions than Evie and make it look easy.
So let's get this out of the way. You would be forgiven if, since Ten of Swords, you had forgotten about what was going on with Cable prior to the Ten of Swords tournament, that he was looking into this Order of X who had been abducting children, babies, like actual infants who are mutants. And it's something when you go back and take a look at it, we remember the text messages that we saw that kind of alluded that there was something more sinister going on, and that whoever it is that wants these mutant infants, something's got to be up. They got to be up to some kind of an end game here. And why would the Order of X do this? Because last we checked, the Order of X is this organization, this cult really, that worships mutants. Now we have seen them take that to the extreme, where in the pages of X-Force, the Order of X tried to eat the mutants, thinking that if they consumed the flesh of mutants, they would become mutants. So it was really easy to just take that into account and look the other way. But something else is up, and we don't really get to learn this until we get back into Cable number 7, where Cable realizes after mourning the loss of Gorgon, while he and the others await Gorgon's return from resurrection, we learn that he's getting back on the case, only this time he's not going alone. He's going to take with him his sister, Rachel Gray, aka Prestige. And the reason why this is happening is because when you think about it, Rachel Gray probably is the most talented investigator on the island, largely because of her powers. Her powers allow her to literally see everything. Like, she can literally go to a place and see everything and anything that's ever moved or operated in that area. She can see what they were doing, what they were thinking. And that makes her an excellent tracker. That's why it was always such bad news when Ahab got a hold of her and turned her into a hound. Her powers made her that dangerous. Now, of course, with Rachel Gray here, it's almost like you hit the fast forward button on this whole case. The detectives that Cable was working with earlier, Detectives DeStefano and Molina, they don't want her to be a part of this, but even they have to put some respect on Rachel's name, because all she has to do is look into their minds and know what they know, and she's able to see the Order of X, everything that they know about the case, everything Cable's seen, and she's able to use that information to directly pinpoint exactly where the Order of X is hiding right this second. And when they pull up, before the detectives can even get the words out entirely that they need to get a warrant, Rachel Gray uses her powers to not just look through the eyes of the people inside the house who are of the Order of X, she's able to collectively show everyone, Cable and the detectives included, what they see. To the point that the detectives don't even know how to respond to it. They don't even know what to do with this information, and Cable goes in and basically pulls a Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop, the final episode, The Real Folk Blues Part 2. He kicks the door in and just starts blasting, even mentioning to Rachel offhand telepathically that he's actually using his father Cyclops' advice and using his powers on a more regular basis. He even brings up the fact he was so embarrassed at how he performed in his battle against Bay the Blood Moon in Ten of Swords that now he knows that if a woman ever comes at him with a sharp object, that he will no longer hesitate, and he takes out one of the Order of X who's charging him with a butcher knife without even so much as blinking. And when it finally comes time to find the children, he's right there. Bada bing, bada boom, they got him. Unfortunately, the Order of X, they are all holding knives to these children's bellies and throats, and they're ready to kill these children should Cable make one false move. Only problem problem is they don't know that there's a mutant right behind them in the form of Prestige, and she's able to give Cable the leverage he needs telepathically and telekinetically to grab a hold of the children so Cable can get the shots off, systematically blasting each of them in the shoulder, though there is one case where one of them looks like they actually got blasted in the chest, but hey, what you gonna do? Though oddly enough, Rachel does bring up that only one of them didn't survive it, so maybe that was the one that was drawn to look more like they took a shot straight to the chest, but hey, it is what it is. These guys suck, and Cable came in and took care of him and cleaned everything up. The children are safe, everything is fine. Now, they can question the Monsignor, who is the leader of this whole Order of X business. Or is he? You see, Cable tries to question him, but the guy don't want to talk. He doesn't want to give up anything. So Cable is just going to do what Cable does best and reach into his mind telepathically to get the answers that he wants. And when he does so, you can tell that Cable has seen a ghost, and the guy, the Monsignor, he apparently had some kind of suicide capsule hidden in his mouth, and he takes a huge bite, killing himself. So now the one person who could give them any more information is dead. You see, everything is now hitting Cable even harder, and the reason why is because he has in fact seen a ghost, and it's something that actually alludes to what Cable said at the very beginning of this book in the quotes that we always get, the character quotes we always get in each of these, Dawn of X and Reign of X titles. He says that it's tough when the past that comes back to haunt you hasn't happened yet, and that past is Strife, the clone of the future version of himself, who I think the last time we saw Strife was in X-Force Volume 5, number 10, where young Cable had Strife dead to rights and could have killed him, but didn't do it because he knew that it would affect the timeline, and more importantly, he knew that of the things that he had done, how he had killed his own older self because he felt that old man Cable was making choices that were selfish and personal and didn't preserve the actual timeline. Well, young Cable felt that he would be no different in killing Strife because it would only serve himself, not the timeline, and it would make him no better than the older version of himself that he clapped during the extermination story arc. So young Cable has a lot to chew on right now, and he doesn't want to get anyone else involved. He doesn't want to get Jean involved. He doesn't want to get Cyclops involved. He doesn't even want to get Rachel involved. He's playing these cards incredibly close to the chest, and though Rachel knows something's up, she's willing to let Cable do what he's got to do until he's ready to talk about it. And I think it's something that even hits home a little bit more when Cable is talking to his father about it, how Cyclops tells him that when you punch a wall, that means you've hit a dead end, that at the end of it all, you need to maybe just take a step back, take a deep breath, and maybe some of the best advice I think Cyclops has ever given Cable in his life is that, yeah, sometimes the best move is to not make one. Sit back, watch the situation play out, and then act when the time is right. But that's not what Cable took away from it. See, he didn't hear that part. What he heard is the part where Cyclops says, wait until your luck changes. And that's something that's got Cable's wheels turning, because the thing is, Cable is going to act when his luck changes, but he's not going to wait for it to change. You see, he's gonna go to the Green Lagoon and he's gonna recruit one of his oldest allies to help him in that regard, and that's Domino, who oddly enough helped him out the last time he got involved with Strife. So we know that Strife is back in the picture. It was only a matter of time before Cable was gonna have to deal with this threat again, considering that he left Strife alive the last time they faced off with one another. And though Cable and Strife, they have off and on had this war against one another, and at the end of it all, I think it's funny that it's happening now at a time when Apocalypse is not around to explain anything. He's off with Genesis and his children, and it would be nice if Apocalypse was around, considering the connection that he has to both Cable and Strife. This is something that actually comes up when Sage sends an email to Beast, essentially saying that Cable is asking questions. He wants the files on Strife, and she doesn't think that she should give it to him because these files contain information about the future, and we all know how information about the future is a very touchy subject on Krakoa. Not to mention that a lot of the stuff is redacted, and a lot of it has to do with Apocalypse, because as some of you may remember, Apocalypse raised Strife. So if anyone would know everything there is to know about Strife, it would be Apocalypse. I know there's a portion here where where Cable brings up the fact that Apocalypse made the clone of Strife, but there's some weird information right there, and I don't know, the last I read of it, I remember it was future version of Rachel Gray that made the clone, but I could be wrong about that. I may be misremembering things. It's been a while since I've read that story arc, but what I do remember of it is that she was the one who made the clone in hopes of saving Cable's life, and Apocalypse just simply abducted the clone by mistake, thinking it was the actual Cable, and that is how Strife came into being. But regardless of what the situation is there with that, I do find it interesting that right now Beast and Sage are trying to figure out whether or not they should give Cable what he wants, and it sounds like in the next issue of Cable they will, if they get the opportunity to stop him before he and Domino go after Strife. They are going to sit him down and try and figure out what he knows, and who knows if X-Force will get involved or not. Right now they kind of are tied up with issues of their own right now, but I'm curious about it. Strife is one of those characters who I always thought was really interesting. I never really particularly liked Strife. I wasn't all like, oh my god, Strife, he's the greatest thing on earth. No, I just thought he looked cool, in a goofy 90s edgelord ex-villain kind of way. Like where Cable had so many pouches, I felt like Strife had so many edges, like he was just edgy beyond edges. But it's cool to see him back. I actually like this whole thing that, they're kind of bringing back some of these characters we haven't seen in a while, even though, yeah, technically we saw Strife back in 2019's X-Force, but still, it's nice to see him back and nice to know that Cable is, addressing some of those sins from the past, and that, who knows, maybe this time he may actually kill Strife, and maybe we'll learn what it is he's trying to do with these mutant infants. We don't really know what he wants with them. We just know that he wants them. I mean, could he be trying to rebuild the Mutant Liberation Army? Is he trying to use them for some kind of genetic clone, splicing, God only knows what? Because out of the 10 children that the Order of X abducted, 5 of them are still missing, and Strife likely has them, so who knows? But anyways, if you like this video, Hulk smash that like button, and make sure to share it with your friends so they can see how you leveled up your comic book big brain in regards to what's going on with Cable in Reign of X. Also, let me know what you thought about Cable number 7 by Jerry Duggan and Phil Noto. Are you excited about Strife's return? And what do you think he's doing with those children? Hopefully nothing problematic. But anyways, keep it plus ultra and sound off in the comments.